Hello, dear friends. Namaste. I welcome you all for this Ayurveda Yoga Expo, and my name is Dr. Sayyid Tayyib Hassan. I'm a general physician, and I also prescribe cannabis-infused medicines for various ailments, and I've found them to be very effective. So today we shall discuss about the endogenous cannabinoid system, which is there in all of humans as well as animals and even in insects. So we'll discuss how cannabis acts on this endogenous system so to bring about the therapeutic effects. So I welcome you all once again for this talk. As usual, the content is for medical educational purposes only. So what shall we learn in this presentation? We shall learn about the anatomy and physiology of endocannabinoid system in brief. We shall classify the receptors. We shall describe the endocannabinoids, functions of endocannabinoid system, and therapeutic potential and clinical uses that are there of cannabis. So the endocannabinoid system is phylogenetically oldest modulatory system found in both vertebrate and invertebrate species. It's found in animals, it's found in insects, and from the animal studies we could identify the same endocannabinoid system that is present in humans. The endocannabinoid system encompasses endocannabinoid molecules. First is N-arachidonyl ethanolamine, or also known as anandamide, because of the bliss that its stimulation causes in humans, and 2-AG or 2-arachidonyl glycerol. Then we'll discuss about the synthesizing and degrading enzymes like FA, DAGL, MAGL, the two major cannabinoid receptors, CB1 and CB2 receptors, the endocannabinoid membrane transporter, and the CB1 receptor interacting protein. So the endocannabinoid system is consists of all of these things. So let's discuss about cannabinoid receptors. Cannabinoid receptors are two. So far the research has given us there are CB1 and CB2. The CB1 receptor is highly expressed in cerebral cortex, in substantia nigra, pars reticulata, globus pallidus, cerebellum, hippocampus, and brainstem. The CB1 receptor is mainly present in central nervous system. It modulates wide range of neural functions such as motor activity, learning, and memory. CB2 receptors are located in peripheral. They are located in inflammatory cells, that is monocytes, B and T cells, and mast cells. CB2 activation results in a reduction of inflammatory mediator release, plasma extravasation, and sensory terminal sensitization. So CB1 receptor is mainly found in central nervous system, is responsible for the nervous mediation, and CB2 receptor is found in peripheral for anti-inflammatory action. The endocannabinoids, so far they have discovered 5 endogenous ligands and many more to come. The first one is anandamide, as it gives pleasure, derived from the Sanskrit word ananda. And Dr. Raphael Mechoulam was the one who invented anandamide, and he's celebrating 90th birthday this year. The second one is 2-arachidonyl glycerol. Third one is the London ether. Fourth one is virodamide. Fifth one is N-arachidonyl dopamine or NADA. And sixth, which is most probably oleol ethanolamine. It also looks like anandamide. All these endocannabinoids, they help in regulation of energy balance and food intake. The endocannabinoid system is responsible for the homeostasis, the fine tuning of homeostasis. Now in brief, here is what it looks like. This is the cloned CB1 receptor. CB1 and CB2 receptors are from the group of G protein coupled receptors. They are present in cell wall, so they have the 7 rings, and this is how the CB1 receptor looks, and this is how the CB2 receptor looks. They are all present in cell wall. Under the effect of CB1 receptors, motor activity gets modulated, thinking, motor coordination, appetite modulation, short-term memory, pain perception, and it's also seen in immune cells. It is anti-inflammatory. CB2 receptors are largely seen in peripheral, in all this tissue, like in gut, kidneys, pancreas, adipose tissue, skeletal, bone, eye, tumors, endocrine system, respiratory tract, immune system, central nervous system, and also in liver. So depending on their location, their activation causes variety of functions that leads to homeostasis. What are the functions of endocannabinoid system? The functions are many, and like the inventors Kuros and Parcher of National Institute of Health, they say that modulating endocannabinoid system activity have therapeutic potential in almost all diseases affecting human because they fine tune the homeostasis in our body. So the functions which I am listing here are far less than what we can discuss about it. The limbic system, hedonistic assessment of food, that is the appetite modulation, consumption of tasty food as a source of pleasure. So it gives satisfaction that you have eaten sweet food when you take cannabis. In hypothalamus, stimulation of appetite, it responds to short-term starvation. And appetite stimulation also occurs through the stimulation of receptors in small intestine. In gastrointestinal tract, interaction with ghrelin secretion, inhibiting gastric emptying and intestinal peristalsis. We know that it is very good antidiarrheal. In adipose tissue, activation of lipoprotein lipase, intensifying processes of lipogenesis and fat deposition. Under the effect of endocannabinoid system, the person is lean, slim, and smart. Deficiency of endocannabinoids, or if the endocannabinoid system is not functioning optimally, its deficiency causes irritable bowel syndrome, migraines, depression, fibromyalgia, which together are coupled as clinical endocannabinoid deficiency syndrome by Dr. Ethan Russo, the neurologist in America who has done extensive research on endocannabinoid system and its deficiency. Now, what are the clinical uses that we can have by modulating the endocannabinoid system? According to Raphael Mechoulam and P.S. Kunos and Parcher of National Institute of Health, cannabis is useful in following conditions. It is useful in obesity as well as metabolic syndrome. It is useful in diabetes and diabetic complications like neuropathy, retinopathy, and even nephropathy. Cannabis is useful in all neurodegenerative disorders like Parkinson's, like Huntington chorea, multiple sclerosis. It's useful in inflammatory disorders, chronic inflammatory disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, all kind of autoimmune disorders. There are cardiovascular actions which can increase the cardiac contractility, but it can also cause palpitation. So cannabis is also useful in the conditions of liver like alcoholic hepatitis, liver cirrhosis. Then we know it is well known fact that cannabis modifies the gastrointestinal motility. So it is very helpful in IBS, then inflammatory bowel disease. It's very helpful in skin inflammations and in any diseases where pain is a symptom. So chronic pain, it gets modulated under the effect of cannabis. Even psychiatric disorders like anxiety, insomnia, bipolar depression, to a certain extent even schizophrenia. Cachexia is because of stimulation of appetite. Cancer cachexia and chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting still remains the number one condition for which cannabis is being used internationally. So all this information I derived from these references. I thank you all for listening to me. Thank you, and let me know of any questions that you have on my email drsydthir@gmail.com. Thank you.